Hello, welcome to Just Vintage Crochet, and let's explore needle tatting. Yes, there is shuttle tatting. Today we're going to learn needle tatting. Earliest evidence of needle tatting is from April 1917 when M.E. Rosella published an article about it in the Modern Priscilla. So that is a little bit of history on it. It's not too in-depth because this is mostly going to be a tutorial. So with needle tatting, unlike with shuttle tatting where you have to really do a lot of motions to create the stitches, needle tatting is very, well, they're both fluid, but it's more like this. You know, you're just going to be doing that whole thing. So it's more beginner friendly, I would say. Definitely more beginner friendly. Needle tatting, if you fall in love with it, like I think you will lead you into wanting to discover more about shuttle tatting, which most people prefer to use shuttle tatting with the finest threads. So here is everything that you need. This is your full accompaniment that you need for needle tatting. Actually, let me add there. This is everything you need for needle tatting. So here I have all the sizes that are available. I'm going to leave a link down below. It is not affiliated. It's just a link to Amazon where I bought these. It's helpful if you do go buy this, it is helpful to keep this little insert because it does give you your needle to thread or yarn gauge. So that's very helpful. Both packets, so I have the smallest for thread and then I have the yarn tatting needles, and they both come with threaders, which for the yarn you don't need the threader at all. This is the threader that comes with it. You don't need it at all. I do find the threader to be quite helpful with the actual threads. So if you pick this up, it will be $10. It's wild. You get 4 needles for $10, but if you buy the yarn needles, it's 3 for $15 from the same company. I don't get it. This comes from Handy Hands, and we're going to discuss more about what they sell. So these are the tatting needles. Now it says you get 3, but you get a free bonus needle. So you actually get all 4. I have 3 here, and that's because I'm using one so that I can show you how that works with a finer thread. When we look back here, we will see that 8 is extra fine, which is this one right here. And this one, number 8, will work with these thread sizes here. Number 7 will work with these thread sizes, and that is what I have here, a number 40 thread. Number 5 will work with your size 20, size 10, and your pearl cottons. And number 3, okay, lost one down the couch, that's okay. Number 3 will work with your number 3s, number 10s, and your smaller sport weight. Now, if you use a number 10 with your number 3, you're going to have somewhat loose stitches. So I wouldn't genuinely recommend that. I would recommend using a number 5 with the 10. And then, of course, your yarn sizes there. So your worsted, your chunky, and most 100% cottons. Okay, so if you do pick this up, I would keep this little insert wherever you're going to store your needles because it is very, very helpful. And it does come with a free pattern. They will give you a free pattern inside. Okay, one of my needles just slipped down the couch, but that's okay. It's right there. I can just, when I'm done filming, reach down there and grab it. If you do pick these up, I recommend threading a piece of yarn on this because it is on there really good. And it does help to have the yarn. Here is the yarn sizes. Yeah, it's on there really, really good. And these are much bigger. As you can see, they look like doll making needles. And the eyes are very, very big, like basically big darning needles. And so these are going to be great for working with the yarn, which is why I did grab the yarn and said, this is everything that you need. Let's get into the material. So from what I've seen on the internet, it is highly recommended to use a coordinate with tatting of either kind, needle or shuttle, because it creates the cleanest, most defined stitches. These are lots of little knots that we're creating art with. And so Handy Hands, the same people who sell the tatting needles and have for several decades, also sell their own coordinate cottons under the name of Lisbeth, just like that right there. And this is Elizabeth as well. This is not a coordinate. This is just your average Red Heart Super Saver bedspread cotton. Now this DMC is a coordinate. They don't call it a coordinate, but it is. As you can see, it is a coordinate. Now, let's get into this. Now that you know what type of material is best, and as far as yarn goes, just yarn. You don't have to worry about all that. So this is a little sample pattern I'm going to show you guys. I hand wrote this out just based on knowing how the stitches work. Now, I went ahead and hand wrote a little simple pattern. It's nothing, no big deal. But this is what we're going to ultimately make today after we learn the basics of the stitches. I will be using this on camera just because I think it will be a lot easier for you to see, and I just got it in the mail and I can't wait to try it, and so that's a good excuse to play with it. Okay, let's get into this. Of course, I'm also going to show you this. I'm going to work on this one for you so you can see it is easy and quite possible to use the needle tatting with a needle and finer thread. Unpopular opinion online is shuttle tatting is the only way to use finer threads, but we'll disprove that. Okay, so since I'm using a number 3, and I'll leave a link for this as well. Again, none of it's affiliated. It's just one on Amazon. Handy Hands does have an Amazon store. So let's thread the needle. I am going to go ahead and use the needle threader. There we go. Just makes life a little bit easier, but for those yarn needles, you really don't need it. Those are pretty opened up. All right, so you want to leave a pretty sizable tail. And we're going to be working off the ball instead of cutting out whole sections. Now, a way I like to hold my thread, I'll hold it like this, and whenever I go to work my stitches, well, first of all, I'm getting ahead of myself, forgive me. We need to create a small loop. So you can see there's my tail, here's my working thread right here. So I'm just going to pull a small loop worth. Again, this is just for practice. Then we'll come back and make that little pattern and just hold it right here like this, that you can see. And here's my tail back here out of the way. And just hold it like that. Now go ahead and take your thread. And if you're a knitter, then you're going to be familiar with doing this. So I find this to be the most fluid and easy way to work these stitches. A lot of videos online are going to show you to do it this way and this way and this way with your finger, but that scrambles my brain up a little bit because then I forget which way am I supposed to do my finger. I find it much easier to go around the thumb, so you're going to want to come down and scoop towards you, and now you're going to take your needle and go under that and create the first half of your double knot. So what we're making now is called a double or a double knot. Now you're going to want to take your index finger, point at you, then point away from you, then point at you again, and pick up that thread on the top of your finger. Now you have completed your double knot, and it's called that because there are 2 strands in that knot. And then we're just going to repeat that again. With the thumb, scoop toward you and pick up that thread along the side of your thumb. Make sure that you bring it all the way down to the other knot. With your index finger, point towards you, then down away from you, then back toward you again, and pick up that strand on top of your finger. And you want to pull these tight. You want these stitches to be tight. There is only one tension that you need to worry about with tatting, with needle tatting, and that's tight. So let's do one more. Scoop the thumb toward me and then pick up that strand along the side of my thumb, tight. Then with my index finger, point at me, away from me, then back at me again. And across the top of my finger, I pick up that strand. Pull tight. Okay, we have worked 3 knots Now we're going to make a picot. A picot is always made with the thumb. So you're going to scoop towards you, pick up a stitch, but don't slide it all the way down to the other stitches. Stop like that. Now that's the first half of a knot. Now we have to complete that knot to lock that picot in. So with our index finger, we point at us, away from us, then back at us again, and complete that knot. Now we have created a little picot, and there it is, sticking out. So let's create 2 more of these double stitches. This is 1 double stitch on the other side of a picot. So now we're going to create 2 more double stitches. That's 2 for a total of 3. And 3. So now we can see we've got 3 doubles, a picot, and 3 doubles. Let's work another picot. Try to match it to the first one, and of course you can always separate and see what the first one looks like. So you want to try to match it. Now we have to complete that picot by also creating our first double stitch on this side of this picot. So we point at us, away from us, then back at us again. That's 1. Let's create 2 more. 2. And 3. So now we've got 3 groups of 3 and 2 picots. Let's create 1 more picot and 1 more group of 3. So we'll slide this down, create another picot, complete that first double that the picot creates. There we go. And so in my head, the way my cadence is, I go thumb, finger, thumb, finger. There you go. Now we have a total of 4 doubles and 3 picots. So now we're going to go ahead and complete this as a ring. Let's go ahead and treat this like a ring. So you're going to want to gather and make sure that you hold on to everything in all of your fingers as best that you can. And we're going to want to keep this bottom loop right here, our pinky inside of that. There we go. And there you can see our pinky is preventing us from closing that off completely. And what we need to do is go back through that loop that our pinky is in with our needle to create a little knot, and then cinch it shut. And there you go. And that is a ring. We have to complete this ring with needle tatting anyways. You don't have to do this with shuttle tatting, by creating a knot, another knot. So with your work like this, just do a simple twist and come up through. It won't knot if you don't create the twist first. Now that's knotted in and it's in place. And when we create the knot, our loop, the part that we were holding on to the needle, is sitting back this way, and our working yarn coming off of our ball is now aimed forward, and that's the way it needs to be. Now let's create a chain. So now you will hold your ring right where the knot is onto your work like this. And let's go ahead and create, let's chain, let's do 3 picot, 3, you know what? Let's just create what we were going to create for the ring, but turn it into a chain. So let's go ahead and create 3 doubles. Bring that all the way down to the base of that ring. That's why you want to hold that ring right there. Okay, that's 1. 2. And 3. Create a picot. Complete it. That's 1. 2, and 3. Create another picot. Let's slide this down so we have some more room to work. Create another picot. And picots are always created on the thumb because they are the first half of a double stitch. So that's 1, 2, and and 3. Let's create another picot. Runaway ball. Okay, picot made. Complete that first double stitch. So that's 1. I need to slide my work down a bit. 2, and 3. One more picot. Complete that first double. 1, 2, and sorry, my alarm went off and it stopped my film from recording. So now we have made too many picots. Okay, that's okay. Let's just go ahead and remove 3 of these double stitches and 1 picot. I guess I got a little into what I was doing. You just pop them right off the top. Now, another difference between needle and shuttle tatting is it's a lot easier to remove your stitches and correct mistakes with the needle tatting. It doesn't mean it's better. These are just the differences. Okay, so now we have 3 picots and 4 groups of 3 doubles. We're going to make a chain. How we make a chain is whenever we slide our stitches down, last time we made sure to keep our pinky in place to prevent that from closing up before we could create a knot. We don't have to do that this time because a chain is not going to be a loop, it's just going to be kind of an arch. So you can almost call it a bridge. So we just slide down and bring that all the way. And there you go. And that creates a sort of an arch with 3 picots on it. Now, much like with the ring, we have to create a knot to lock this all in. So with your work like this, you just do a little twist to create a little cross right there. And then you go ahead and pull your needle through and lock it in. There you go. Now let's create another ring. So these are the basics for needle tatting. Your ring and your chain. I call it a bridge in my head though. Let's create one more ring and then we'll get into the pattern. So I want the yarn that's coming off the back of my needle, I want it back here. And the yarn that's coming off of my ball, I want going forward. So now I'm gonna hold my work like this. Bring it down a bit. And I'm going to start by creating my 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3. Now that we already have our first ring established, instead of making our first picot independently as we did down here, we're actually going to use this picot as our first picot. This is how we connect them. So what we're going to do now is bring your work all the way to the very tip. This is a little bit tricky and a crochet hook can be used to help with this, and I'm going to show you how to do that with the crochet hook, but first I'm going to show you how to do it with the needle. What I like to do is tension up like I'm crocheting so that I have good tension. Go into that picot and you can see which picot it is, the closest one to where I'm working, and scoop up a piece of thread. And if that is a bit too cumbersome, which it was for me at first, you can use a crochet hook. And what you'll want to do, go into the picot, scoop up a bit of thread. Actually, that's wrong. You don't want to go, you want to yarn under. Scoop up a bit of the thread and then pull it over the needle, just like that. Okay? I'm going to go back and show you how to do it the first way. as it's the easiest, it's the most convenient way. So I like to thread up, tension up like I'm crocheting, go into that picot, which I've overstretched at this point, that's okay, and pick up a stitch. There we go. Now that counts as the first half of my next double, and it also counts as a picot made for this ring that we're working on. So let's move down, and we're going to go ahead and complete that first double right there. Now I need 2 more doubles. 1 and 2. Make a picot. So instead of physically making 3 picots, I'll only be making 2. Okay, make a picot. Complete that first double. 1, 2, and 3. Make another picot. Complete that first double. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now that we are done with our next ring has been made. We're just going to slide down, and they are now connected. We're going to slide down. I need to be sure that I don't let this ring close. There we go. Put my needle in there. Cinch it shut. That part is hard to see because my thumb is always covering it, but it has to keep your stitches from spinning around. You have to, and so I apologize for that. It's almost unavoidable, but you get it, that it's cinching shut in between my fingers. And then we have to create the knot to secure it every time, after every element. These are called elements. This first ring is an element, the chain is an element, the second ring is an element. So then we just do a little twist to create a little twist like that. Go through and knot it. There you go. So that is the basics of needle tatting. So let's make a quick, easy pattern that you can make over and over again. But first I recommend pause the video and just practice making double stitches over and over again. Then slip them off your needle and practice making doubles and picots over and over again. Slip them off your needle. Then practice turning those doubles and picots into your first ring. So practice with that, and then come on back and let's get into this quick, simple little pattern that I drew up. So here's my simple little handwritten pattern, and that's the one we're going to follow today to create this. Very cute. Okay, so for the pattern, I'm going to go ahead and work with the DMC size 10 crochet cotton thread and number 5 or medium needle. Okay, so our pattern is going to start off with 7 double, 1 picot, 2 double, 1 picot, 7 double. Okay, so make a large loop for me to work with. And let's just jump right in. 7 double, so that's 1, right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 picot, 2 double. So this first half of our first double has already been created right there. So that's 1, 2. Now we're going to create another picot. Complete that. Makes our first double of 7. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oops, just a moment. So my last stitch went way down here, so I have to loosen that up and do that one again. Okay, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There we go. So let's go ahead and slide this off, and that's how everything should be looking. Let's go ahead and slide this off. I don't want to lose that loop. Complete that loop with another little knot. Cinch it up in your fingers. There you go. And then we turn or twist it and create one more securing knot. Now I have the thread attached to my hook, my needle, forgive me, my needle going back this way, and the thread coming toward my ball going this way. I'm going to hold it back here and create a chain. And the chain is going to be, I'll just show you the step-by-step with the chain. We're going to do 3 double, and we want to put that all the way down onto that ring. That's the first half of our first double. That's 1, 2 more, 2, and 3, make a picot. So what we're looking for is exactly what I did in the practice. We're going to make a total of 3 picots and 4 groups of 3 double for our chain. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Make a picot. 1, 2, and 3. Make a picot. This will be our 3rd picot. 1, 2, and 3. So that is our first chain made, or little bridge like I like to call them. And we don't have to worry about holding on to our ring this time, our loop down here. Just pull it right on through like that and cinch it up. Make sure it stays tight. Give this a little twist. Pull this right on through. Here we go. Now we're going to make another ring, and you can see the thread coming off my needle is going back this way, and directionally this is going this way, naturally. Okay, now we're going to make another ring, but like we did before, our first picot of this ring is going to be attached to this first picot right here on this ring. So the picot closest to our work. So we're going to hold everything right there. And we're going to start with our 7 double. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Oops, I did it again. That wasn't supposed to go there. Let's see if I can just cinch that. Yeah, there we go. Bring everything down a bit. Oh no, I have to pull everything up. That's right. So we go up to the tip to create our first picot. We go into this picot right here. I tension my yarn like I'm going to crochet, and I do it pretty firm as well. And then I just scoop out a thread. And that is the first leg of my next double stitch. So I need to complete that. There we go. Now that's the first of the 2 I need to make before I create another picot. So that's 1, and 2, create another picot, and 7 more doubles. So that's the first half of the first of 7 there. That makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Slide the work off the needle, cinch that ring shut. There we go. Do a little twist, make one more knot, and now we're ready to make another chain, or bridge as I call it. Now this picot right here, I need to pull up a little bit, is where we're going to attach our next ring to. But first, let's go ahead and make another chain. So we'll just hold everything like this, and we will work 3 double, 1 picot 3 times, for a total of 3 picots and 4 groups of 3 double. Make a picot, 1, 2, and 3. Make a picot, 1, 2, and 3, and make one, no, yes, and make one more picot. I got confused myself there for a second. I thought to myself, oh no, I'm supposed to attach that ring. No, not yet. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Then we will slide this off. Now you can see the reason you need to leave a long loop that is attached to your, because do you see where the thread goes? The thread fills up all of our elements. So if you don't leave yourself a long enough loop, you can't make the size pattern that you want to make. So you got to leave a long enough loop off the back end, and a long enough tail, because the tail, you can keep pulling the tail down and making your loop longer and longer as you work. Okay. And some patterns will tell you how many inches of loop and tail that you need to have to complete that pattern, which is very helpful. Actually, I would say probably most patterns do. Okay, so we have our chain. We just do a little flip, create our knot, and that one is done. Now we are going to make another, why is it going that way? Get yourself back around. So that one twisted up on me as I was pulling it. That's my fault. That's what will happen. That's okay. We just twist it back into the correct direction. It should be going in that direction. That's just fine. So now let's make our next ring. After this, I'm going to leave you to it, because that'll be 4 times, or 2 times I've shown you 2 elements. So you should have it, or you not should, but you can also rewind. Learn at your own pace. Okay, so now we're going to start with the ring again. So let's just start with the 7, and then when we work our first picot, we're going to join it to this picot. So here we go. 1, secure that all the way down to the base of that chain. 2. Okay, that's 2 there, actually. That's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we slide this up to the tip, go into that picot. I tension my thread up, and I try to scoop it down toward the bottom right here seems to work the best for me whenever I scoop it out of the bottom of what could look like a V. That seems to work the best for me. So that's the first half of our next double. We need 2 doubles between the picots. So that makes none. There we go. That makes 1. Behave. Okay, 1. And 2. Make another picot. And 7 more doubles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, 6, 1, 2, 3, yes, and 7. Okay, now we'll make another ring. Try to keep everything neat and tidy. And you don't always have to use your finger to stop the ring from cinching, but it does help keep it from twisting, as you can see. So that's what it looks like if you don't use your pinky to help guide it, because it does want to twist. There you go. See there? It just helps. Complete that ring. You'll feel it cinch between your fingers. There we go. We do a little twist or a flip and then complete that knot. Now it will be slow going at first, but you will get faster with it, and so will I, because it's still a bit slow going for me. Come on back whenever you have 6 loops. So here's the other one I already had. When you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, don't work the 7th loop. We are looking for a total of 7 rings, I should say. We're looking for a total to complete this piece, 7 rings and 7 chains. But come back whenever you have completed 6 total loops, and then we will go from there. Well, actually, I'm a liar. 6 loops and then 1 chain. So when you've completed your 6th loop and then the chain immediately following, come back and we will work the last loop together, as we're going to do that in a special way, and then we'll work the last chain together. Okay? So while I'm working on that little practice pattern, let's play around with the yarn needles. Now it says here that for worsted weight, we need the number 1 medium. So that's going to be the medium sized. And let's see here. This is the biggest one. So it's going to be this one right here. You really can feel the difference. It may not be so easily visible on camera, but when you get them in your hands, you really can feel the difference. Let's go ahead and thread up, and I'll show you how easy it is to work with the yarn. And of course, it's easy to thread because it's just like threading a really, really big darning needle. Okay, get this out of your way. And let's make a ring, and I always want to call it a bridge. Let's make a ring and a chain. Okay, so give myself a pretty good sized loop. And let's start with, see, a simple ring. Let's do 3 double 3 picot again. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, and 3. 1 picot. 3 more double. That's 1, 2, and 3. Slide that down. Make another picot. 3 more double. 1, 2, and 3. So a small ring. There we go with 2 picots. Slide that down. Since I'm making a ring, I want to make sure that my finger will protect my loop from closing up on me. Long tail. Come through there. Cinch that up. flip it, secure it. Let's make a chain. So the yarn coming off of my needle is going in this direction from the knot, and my working yarn going toward my skein is in this direction. So we'll just hold it like this, and let's make a simple chain. Let's just do four doubles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's just do only 1 picot and 4 more doubles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I would think the benefit of using yarn, especially cotton, is to make coasters and stuff. That would be really, really neat. So let's go ahead and finish this chain. And again, we don't have to worry about looping the chain. We just need to pull it right on up like that. Here we go. Let's make another ring. Oh, I do have to secure my chain though. So twist and create a secure knot. Okay, let's make another ring. And that was 3 double. Secure that all the way down. Oops, I keep wanting to tension. When there's yarn in my hand, I want to tension like I'm crocheting. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Work my first picot into the picot of this ring here. Now I can tension like that. And I come scoop through the bottom like that. That I find to be the most easy. Okay, that's the first leg of my double. So that's 1. Now I need 2 more. 2 and 3. Make another picot. Secure it. Slide my work down a bit. 2 more double. 1 and 2 for a total of 3. So now I have 2 picots and 3 doubles. Let's go ahead and complete this ring. My tail is a little too long, so I'm going to have to shore that up a bit. Secure and bring it to a close. Here we go. We twist and we create another knot that puts us in the direction we need to be in. There we go. So with your knot on the bottom of your work, you will start your next chain. This work coming off the back of your needle, this work going up to your skein. You want to make sure that your knot is at the bottom of your work, okay? Not like this, or else it'll be backwards. Just like this right here. And then you just start working your next chain. And for us, this chain here, we did 4 plus 1 picot, then 4. Very easy. 1, 2, that's 3 actually, and 4. Then we slide it down. There we go. Yep, I never did secure that long A tail. Let me see if I can ring that in first. My tail is way too long. There we go. Cinch that tight. Then we twist and secure it. Oops. I'm all thumbs. There we go. Ready to move on. So if you had a nice thick cotton, this would be great for making coasters. Okay, so whenever I see you again, I will have the rest of our little pattern made up and I'll show you how we close it off. I also wanted to show you how easy you can work superfine thread with this. Again, this is the Elizabeth size 40. This is a 6-cord coordinate. Okay, let's go ahead and make a chain because I have already got a loop right there. Work a chain in this fine thread. That's 1, 2, don't do that, 3, and work a picot, 1, 2, and 3, work a picot, 1, 2, and 3, and then 1 more picot, and 1 more group of chain 3, or 3 doubles, forgive me. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's finish the chain. A lot easier to do with the finer thread, by the way, because you can easily hold all of your stitches. Oh, there we go. There we go. Give this a little tug to tighten everything up. Come on now. There we go. Okay, then we give a little flip. There you go. Secure that. Now we go ahead and work a ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. All right, now to complete that stitch, there we go. So that was 1, 2, another picot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's complete this ring. My tail is a bit too long. Here we go. Get that tail on out of there. Let's give a little flip and then lock it in. Okay, then I just work my next chain. So you can use the finer threads. This craft is still somewhat new to me, so I'm a little fiddly with it, but it wasn't that hard to pick up. It really wasn't. Okay, guys, now by the time you see me again, I will be done with my 6 rings and last chain before we close it all up. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so now we have 6 rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains. That's the last chain made. So here's how we work the last ring. Am I a mess? I'm a little bit of a mess. I'm a little bit of a mess. Okay. Okay, so let's start the last ring like we usually do with a 7 double. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Slide to the tip. Come down here and pick up this picot. Okay, so that is the start of our, we have to work the 2 double in between the picots. So that starts my first double. This will complete it. That's 1, 2. Now we come over here to the very first ring we made and that picot right there, and let's pick up that picot. Okay, so that starts my first of 7 double. Let me slide down. Okay, so that's 1. Now we just work the rest of our 7 double. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We will close this ring off. This will be our 7th and final ring. Here we go. Okay, now we have to work 1 more chain. Okay, so here we go. And that's going to be 3 double, 1 picot, 3 double, 1 picot, just like usual. 1, 2, and 3, 1 picot, 1, 2, 3, picot number 2, 1, 2, and 3, third picot, 1, 2, and 3. Let's go ahead and slip this off. Oops, almost slipped it off the wrong way. The tag, get a flip and lock it in. Okay, and now we're going to join it right here. There you go. Just weave in your ends. Let's go ahead, give it a flip. Well, we may not be able to give it a proper flip. I'm not sure. Let's see. Can we give it a proper flip? A flip and then a knot. Can we do that? We can. Okay. Take this off. I'm going to leave sizable enough tails for weaving in, and then you just weave in your tails. And you can make more and more of these, and just if you want to make 2 of them, let's see, where's my other one? So this one here I made, and you can see the difference. The DMC calls this white, and here is Blanc, right? But this is a Red Heart Super Saver. Do you see how this looks kind of creamy? And this, it looks off-white, and that looks white. So this one here was made with the number 10 cotton of a different brand, the Red Heart Super Saver. And this one here was made with, I've been saying this for years now, the DMC number 10 is so much smaller than the number 10 that's made here in the US. Now, that's not saying it's better, and it's probably smaller than number 10s made in other countries too, like Brazil. They make their own cotton thread as well. So it just, DMC runs really small compared to others is what I'm trying to say. But what you can do is like sew those bits together, the two, you know what I mean? Sew those two together, the 4 picots, and just keep making them, and you've got yourself a little headband or a little bracelet or I don't know, a tie back for your curtain or anything. But so there is a quick and simple pattern for you to play with, and just make it over and over and over again, and get yourself really proficient with the needle tatting. And we will tackle some of these vintage and antique tatting patterns, as the instructions aren't any different for needle tatting than they are for shuttle tatting. The results are a bit different, but I think it'll be okay. We'll give it a shot. Okay, guys, let me know what you think. And don't forget, if you're interested in working with this, then the link down below, it'll be a total of $25 if you want to get both packs. But if you just want to start off with the thread, that's going to be $10. Again, not affiliated. That's just what I had to pay, and those are the links I use to buy them myself. Okay, guys, I love you lots, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.